full confidence in the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, and Ariyakanta Sila, noble morality, high morality. These are the four qualities or angas of Sotapanna. He would not even at the risk of his own life, he would forsake the Buddha. He would not forsake the Dhamma, nor forsake the Sangha, nor would he give up his morality. He observed all moral principles. These are the four qualities, four angas.
Thank you, Bhante.
Okay? Another question.
How can we use emptiness to help us let go of bad habits?
How can you emptiness, when you see emptiness in all aspects, in everything, particularly the body, feeling, perceptions, thoughts, and consciousness. If you see emptiness of all these five aggregates, you will not have a scruple of doubt about self. That means you will see no self very, very clearly. That is why I have been emphasizing in our daily instructions, you start with metta, practice mindfulness, seeing the five aggregates. I simplified five aggregates, tying them to the breath, breath as a form aggregate, feeling comes along with the breath is feeling aggregate, perception comes with it, that is perception aggregate, attention is volitional formation aggregate, and consciousness aggregate. I mentioned this in the most simple way. I cannot simplify more than that. And when you see impermanence of all of them, you will not have any doubt about not having self. There is no self. The problem is that people do not want to see impermanence. That is the problem. They want to see that there must be something permanent, there must be something permanent. They try to look for that permanent thing, they will never find it. Until they are fully convinced that there is no self, that everything is impermanent, they will have the notion of self. One, even in anagamis, have the thought of I. That is called asmimana. Venerable Khemaka was famous for that. He had attained anagami. Finally, when he began to talk to his fellow monks, explaining how he felt I am, he used the simile of lotus flower and asked whether the smell or sweet smell in the lotus flower in the petal, stalk, and the nectar, or where. Fragrance is all over the flower. Similarly, although he could not find the self in any of these aggregates, he still felt I am consciousness, I am belief. Then he gave another simile. Suppose somebody has given his laundry to laundryman, he washed it and bring it back, then you, the person who gave the laundry, will still smell the detergent the laundryman used to wash your clothes. And then to get rid of that detergent, you put it in a perfume chamber. And then when you take it out, that smell would have gone. It is some kind of deodorizer. This deodorizer he used for seeing impermanence. Impermanence is the final deodorizer of this laundry, to remove the laundry detergent. Similarly, what do you call that, perfume chest is the final thing that would remove the smell of the clothes. Similarly, when you don't see impermanence perfectly, clearly well, you will have the notion of self. So when you see impermanence perfectly, clearly well, then you definitely will get rid of your notion of self, also completely vanish from your mind. That instant, Venerable Khemaka and his friendly monks who were listening to his talk both attained full enlightenment. He attained full enlightenment while he is explaining this to others, and others attain enlightenment by listening to his explanation at the same time. This is only one incident where we see that both preacher and the listeners attaining enlightenment simultaneously. So impermanence is so powerful. Friends, you have to look at yourself without any question. Don't think that there is one tiny like mustard seed like self hiding. Don't think that way. Even that tiny little thing is changing, impermanent. That is the summary of Vipassana meditation. I think until Anattalakkhana Sutta in the second discourse Buddha delivered, after first discourse is Dhammacakka, second discourse is Anattalakkhana. All those 5 venerable monks, Kondanya had attained the stream entry listening to the first sermon, but all the remaining 4 plus Kondanya attained full enlightenment by listening to the Anattalakkhana Sutta, discourse on non-existence of self, because that teaching of impermanence is extremely wonderful, powerful. Anattalakkhana Sutta began, Rupam Bhikkhave Anatta, because form is without self. Then he went on explaining why it is without self, because it is impermanent, unsatisfactory, altering, changing, and therefore there is no self. I advise you to read Anattalakkhana Sutta, among many other suttas. It is in the Samyutta Nikaya. Okay, there is only 2 more minutes to ask one quick question.
A quick one. This isn't a quick one. Let's see. That's not a quick one.
Almost yes or no answer.
You want me to ask this now? Okay, Bhante. I don't know if this will be a quick one, but it's definitely relevant to what you were just talking about. Can you share some easy, practical ways to sustain the mindfulness of impermanence all the time that someone might otherwise overlook as too different in daily life, difficult in daily life? How did you practice it?
I practice every time something appears in my mind. I light my flash of my mindfulness. Then I see it very clearly that is impermanent. That means as soon as something arises in my mind, I become mindful of its impermanent nature. Then it vanishes. I cannot let it linger in my mind. Many, many times thought arises, many kind of thoughts. It is very easy for me to get rid of it. For instance, sometimes I cannot sleep at night. As soon as I cannot sleep at night, I find some thought lingering in mind. Then I look at my thought. I know that this thought is impermanent, next thought is impermanent, next thought is impermanent. As I keep looking at the impermanence, I fall asleep. Easy, very easy. Even daytime. Anything where I experience, I look at it as impermanence, it vanishes from my mind. Of course, when I'm writing an email to somebody, I don't use that. But as soon as I'm typing it, I see impermanence right on the screen. I focus my mind on it. And while I'm writing, I think of it. I think of this every letter I type in my keyboard is impermanent. I see that. And therefore, impermanence is not something I had to learn deliberately. You all can do that. It doesn't stop your work. You will work. You will work knowing this is impermanent. There is no harm in that.
Bhante, what about if we're like cutting vegetables to prepare?
Impermanent. Cutting is impermanent, cooking impermanent, eating.
How should we perceive the impermanence of food prep, like cutting vegetables to make a?
You can see the knife going up and down, your hand moving up and down. Impermanent. If it is permanent, you will never lift the hand.
Right.
Lift the knife. Vegetable you never cut.
There's nothing permanent there, huh?
Nothing permanent.
All right.
Everything must be impermanent in order to exist. Okay. Now let us begin our practice.
Sadhu. Sadhu.
Yeah. See, number.
Yeah.
Okay. Let us begin our practice. And friends, nothing is a joke. Although I smile when I talk of impermanence, that is not a joke. That is the most serious, most important in our practice. Believe me. So let us start with our metta. May all beings be happy and secure. May all beings have happy minds. Whatever living beings there may be, without exception, weak or strong, long, large, medium, short, subtle or gross, visible or invisible, living near or far, born or coming to birth, may all beings have happy minds. Let no one deceive another, nor despise anyone anywhere, neither from anger nor ill will should anyone wish harm to another. As a mother who risks her own life to protect her only child, even so towards all living beings, one should cultivate a boundless heart. One should cultivate for all the world a heart of boundless loving friendliness, above, below, and all around, unobstructed, without hate or resentment, whether standing, walking, sitting, lying down, or whenever awake. One should develop this mindfulness. This is called divinely dwelling here, not falling into erroneous views, but virtuous and endowed with vision, removing desires for sensual pleasures. One comes never again to birth in the womb. With this very wonderful, sincere, heart-warming thought of metta, let us begin our mindfulness training. When breathe in and breathe out, pay total attention to the breath exclusively and see the beginning of inhaling, middle of inhaling, end of inhaling, and then notice the beginning of exhaling, middle of exhaling, and end of exhaling. Also notice the pause between inhaling and exhaling. These are invariable. They all happen all the time without any confusion. When one breath ends, the second exhaling begins. When exhaling ends, inhaling begins. While we are breathing, inhaling and exhaling, and then while we are doing so, we notice that we feel the breath, we perceive the breath, we pay deliberate attention to the breath, we are fully conscious of the breath. And these also are changing as we breathe in and out. That is definitely happening. No one has the control over that. Impermanence is impermanent. Then there will not be too much hindrances in us, such as greed, resentment, restlessness, sleepiness, drowsiness, and doubt. No desire for breath, because breath arises naturally. If desire arises, we become mindful of that desire. As the next breath comes, that desire fades away. And then breath becomes calm, relaxed, peaceful. Then we experience the body relaxing, mind relaxing, breath relaxing, noticing that relaxing, we breathe in and out, then all the hindrances subside, mind, body, breath work together as a unit, and then we gain concentration. When we gain concentration, we can see our own inner, most subtle changes more clearly. Not all of them. We at least feel the heartbeat, palpitation, our sometimes nerves vibrating. We notice this, and they are normally unnoticeable, but when the mind is very calm, relaxed, concentrated, these things become more conspicuous and clear. With that state of mind, we gain more peaceful, calm, relaxed state. And that is the state actually our equilibrium works. We experience great peace. With this, I like you all to continue your practice, and you will see yourself. This is called Pachattang Veditabbo Vinyohi. Every wise individual can see this happening to that individual himself or herself without any external support. With this, we like to stop talking and we continue our Dukkha Bhaya Patta Nibhaya Soka Patta Nisoka Hontu Sabbe Pipanino. May the suffering be free from suffering. May the fear struck be free from fear. May the grieving be free from grief. So too may all living beings. This is our very sincere wish, friends. With this pure, clear, mindful state with full concentration, we share our metta with all living beings. We also want to wish those who are in pain, suffering, distress, disappointment, lonely, and those who try their best to help them. Doctors, nurses, their helpers, facilitators, hospitals, and wherever chemists who are trying to invent some kind of vaccine with the help of many, many wealthy people. May all of them come together and come up with some kind of solution to this very, very devastating, nasty virus and bring the society, people back to work, back to their normal daily life, to live with their loved ones, parents, relatives, friends, and so on in good health. May they all live in good health. Now, friends, second round of questions, if you have any. If somebody has typed the questions to the screen.
Bhante, there's a question here about the jhanas. The question is, for a layperson to attain the first jhana, what sort of daily meditation program would you recommend? How many hours per day? And in the 16 stages of Anapanasati, in which stage is the first jhana entered?
Now, this is very difficult question because all depends on individuals' perseverance, sincerity, availability of time, health, and how often they meditate. If somebody spent 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening, that person must spend more time on weekends, spend more time in the practice. And this builds up. The practice keep building up, and gradually the person would be able to suppress the hindrances. The moment the hindrances are suppressed, the person can attain the jhana. That may not be while you are running, walking, and singing, dancing, and not when you are in those states, but in one, when you sit in one place with all your mind, energy, perseverance collected, put together, using all your experiences to make this happen, then it will happen. In Anapanasati, you hear in the second tetrad, Piti Parisangvedi, Sukha Parisangvedi, and Chitta Sankhara Parisangvedi, Pasamve and Chitta Sankharam. and so forth. These are the 4 stages of second tetrad. When it multiplied by 2, inhaling and exhaling, it becomes 8. So it begins with piety, joy is a factor of the first jhana. This doesn't mean you simply by repeating this attain the first jhana in the second state. All the first jhanic factor will arise the way you practice using the breath. So that happens by not repeating the discourse many times and thinking that when you have little joy that you are in jhana. It doesn't happen that way. You use the breath, even the first part of the breath is enough for someone to gain jhana, provided the person spend very long time, depending on person's personality. Some people are very quick in gaining concentration. They might not take too long, but keep regular practice. One day you can attain it. I rather encourage people to practice vipassana and then go from vipassana to jhana. That way your practice will be complete according to Noble Eightfold Path. In the Noble Eightfold Path, right concentration arises from right mindfulness. That is the order. Right mindfulness arises, right effort. And then all the factors come together to work together at the attainment of jhana or concentration. That is the last stage of the Noble Eightfold Path, beginning with right understanding. When you gain right concentration, then your right understanding will be very, very good. So mindfulness, concentration, and understanding also work together. For all of them, you need effort. So we have to make effort. So 3 factors for sila, 3 factors for samadhi, 2 factors for wisdom. So right understanding and right thought are of wisdom category, then right speech, right action, right livelihood are sila category, right concentration, right mindfulness, right effort are samadhi category. So I'm not going through each of them separately. We practice all of them and then we gain concentration, right concentration. You can gain jhana, you may gain even wrong jhana, but it will not show you the depth of impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and selflessness, which the gist and summary of mindfulness practice. With that practice, you gain better concentration. Okay?
Thank you, Bhante. Speaking of right effort, one person would like to know how to abandon frequent occurrences of unwholesome thoughts, particularly ill will and hate.
I see. Right effort is very, very good thing to do, to practice, to overcome ill will. When ill will arises, you may not have ill will all the time. Then you must think, let me not have ill will at all. And with this determination, you try to stay. However, if ill will arises, immediately you become aware of the impact of ill will on you. When you have ill will, nobody suffers, you suffer. Then you must ask yourself, why should I have this ill will that cause me suffering, that make me sick, that make me look ugly, that make me my association with other people difficult. People will leave me, they will all talk bad about me for having ill will. And so forth. You think about it for yourself, honestly, sincerely. This is the effort you have to make to get rid of your ill will. I don't want to quote Pali, but I'm just explaining the meaning of Pali words in this little explanation. You must make an effort, you must determine, you must have a will and a commitment to get rid of this ill will. Nobody can do that. Finally, practice metta, but not at the time when the ill will is very strong in your mind. Don't try to practice metta. That would make your ill will stronger. And therefore do everything else to get rid of your ill will, and then immediately practice metta. Then you can get rid of it. Moreover, think of the Buddha, his supreme qualities. Think of the Dhamma, its supreme effect on us and attain the liberation of ill will. And you tell yourself, yes, I also can do that. Let me also try that. That kind of determination, commitment, perseverance, goodwill you have to overcome your ill will. And then practice metta.
Thank you, Bhante. I remember seeing a quote recently that said, resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die.
Very much so, very much so. Yes, you drink poison and wish other person to die. Then who dies? Very good simile.
Right. Next question. Bhante, at the top, you said that things cannot exist without impermanence. Do thoughts really exist? And if so, would you please explain what it means to exist?
Right. Exist, actually, something exists means dependently, something arises, dependently passing away. And this appearing and disappearing we call existence. Not something very straight and a straight line, vertically, horizontally, stay all the time. No. Things come and go, come and go, come and go, come and go. This kind of is called flux. Everything in a state of flux, not static. Everything must be impermanent. You say you take medicine when you are sick. If the chemical in the medicine does not change, can you get well? Chemical must change. Chemical must be impermanent. And your sickness must be impermanent for the chemical to work. Otherwise, chemical will never work, although it is physical, and yet impermanence is in the chemical. When you use chemical in the lab, you can see very clearly, if you are a chemist, if you put two chemical together, you can see what is happening right there under your nose, in the front of you. Some people might talk about particle physics and so forth. The final analysis of all of them is that all are changing. no question about it. And so existence, it simply means a continuation of changes, which is in simple English language word we call flux. Flux. Moving, changing, 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 changing. Unfortunately, we say a flame of a candle appears to us to be one flame, but within that flame there are many, 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 many flames we cannot see because they burn so quickly. And that is why finally wicks and oil and whatever you use as a fuel comes to an end. Everything reduced to ashes and disappear. This This is the very wonderful understanding if you have it, if we all have it.
Bhante, why do we constantly experience thoughts, and where do these thoughts arise from?
Constantly arise thoughts because we have uh, stored in our mind information bringing from six senses. The information we brought from six senses started from the babyhood. As soon as baby is born, baby start crying. Does not know anything. From that moment, the information is coming to the baby through seeing, hearing, smelling, touching, and so forth. Baby at least touch the mother, touch, feel her bodily warmth, her breath, her clothes, she's baby smells. All this brings information to the brain, and then these may be very primitive, basic things for the baby to think, and that is how thought arises all the time. And we cannot count the number of thoughts. We can never, never count the number of thoughts we have already collected and put in our mind, and they pop up one little tiny little bit at a time, and then become it blown out and multiplies, proliferate, and keep thinking. So the sources are the desire, ignorance that we are born with, and these things bring all kind of information. Once we have completely stopped all this, then thought also will stop. And when you attain Nibbana, you can stay for a long time, at least 6-7 days without having any thought. And also, if you attain Jhana, right Jhana, at the right jhanic stage, you can stay for a certain period of time without thought or feeling. That is called Sanya Vedit Nirodha. No perception, no feelings, no thought. But until then, we have thought. Even after attaining enlightenment in ordinary daily life, thought arises. They all are wholesome thought without producing any results, because there is no ignorance.
Thank you, Bhante.
I think this may be enough for today, this morning. And I want to see you all this evening. And I wish you all very good day. Keep wishing peace and happiness for all living beings, and particularly these people who suffer from this very, very dangerous virus.
Sadhu.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's wonderful.
Thank you,